Hello everyone and welcome to this Chain Lightning number 4. We have a saucy deck today, a 4-color Storm Herald deck. We are going to try to get some value out of auras. As you probably are aware, auras tend to be a losing proposition if you put them in your deck, because they're just a 2-for-1 waiting to happen. But we're going to try to overcome that in like 4 different ways with this deck. First of all, we're playing auras like Cetessan Training, which cantrips, Demonic Embrace, Sentinel's Eyes, and Escape Velocity, which can all come back from the graveyard. So even if we get blown out, whatever, we kind of still have that card to play. When those auras enter the battlefield, they'll trigger Cetessan Champion for us to draw a card. When the auras leave play because the creature dies, they'll trigger Hateful Eidolon and we'll draw a card. And late in the game, we'll have a juiced up graveyard and we'll bring them all back with Storm Herald. This is the real marquee card in this deck. The goal is to have a big graveyard with like multiple All That Glitters, Demonic Embrace, etc., then play a Storm Herald, put them all back onto the battlefield, and get in your one big attack. To facilitate that plan, we have Mire Triton and Temur Calls the Dead. We're not playing ECD, we're playing TCD in order to juice the graveyard. And then to get the Storm Herald back, we have Call of the Death Dweller and Agadeem's Awakening. Agadeem's Awakening also lets you do some nice things like get back Hateful Eidolon plus Cetessan Champion, which can sometimes be powerful. I've complained in the past that our decks have no pathways, and I didn't understand why. We're on mono pathways now, though I found the 8 triomes to be kind of clunky if we draw too many. You'll notice that our deck has absolutely no interaction. That's all in the sideboard. So we have some, let's say, hexproof cards in Fight as One to counter the opponent's removal, and then sweepers and spot removal of various sorts, Skyclave Apparition, Mire's Grasp, etc. Hushbringer is a non-bow with all of our cards. It's not good with Cetessan Champion on the way down. It makes our Hateful Eidolons and Ailsid of Life's Bounty no longer cantrip. And it's not good with Hateful Eidolon when our auras die. So you might wonder what a Hushbringer is doing out here. Having a flying lifelink body to put auras on has been very powerful for me. So I do understand what the designer was thinking when they put this into their deck. And I mean, obviously they apparently 6-0'd with this, so who am I to judge? Let's take this thing for a spin. Here we go, match number 1 on the draw. This hand's not great, but it's not terrible. I have black sources and black spells to play, so I guess we'll keep this. Kind of missing the sort of engine. Like, we don't have 1-drop enchantment creature, but Temur Calls the Dead will make up for a lot of shortcomings. We also don't have a Triome, which is a little annoying, so I have to make a decision with this Crown pathway, whether I want it to be a red source or a green source. Obviously, I'm leaning green since I have a green spell in my hand. But usually you're hoping to have one of the 2 triomes. Like, suppose that we had the Abzan triome, then I would know that this needs to be a red source. Opponent is going deep in their library trying to find a hit for that Fabled Passage, and came up with a Mountain. All right. So now we have to make some decisions about how many black pips we want to be able to produce, because I think we need to prioritize having a white source in play over the 2nd or 3rd black, but it is a little annoying that I'm going to have to give up a black source to accomplish that. Maze Mind Tome off of Mountain and Plains. I admit I'm not 100% sure what's going on over there, but maybe it will become clear soon. This looks like some sort of like big mana Boros control deck like what I played in the last video. Ooh, another climb pathway. Okay, that makes this a little easier. So I will put the white source on the battlefield first, and we're probably going to play the Cetessan Champion and then take that into Temur Calls the Dead. So we don't have ECD in this deck, but we do have TCD. And obviously this Agadeem's Awakening can get both of these back, whereas Call of the Death Dweller can only get back 1. So this is probably the last land I'm going to play. Mardu Triome. I wonder if my opponent has black spells in their deck, or if that's just for cycling purposes. No other place. Another Temur Calls the Dead. Interesting. Okay, so we'll start with a hit for 2. And then we'll hope that they just have like a Bone Crusher Giant up that can't clear our 1/3. So we have to play a green source to put this on the battlefield. And cross your fingers that we get to untap with it. I would say that we're not favored to do that. Between Glass Casket, Scorching Dragonfire, they could even Storm's Wrath us next turn potentially. I mean, there's a lot of ways that this could kind of collapse. So they're only using Mazemind Tome here. I like that. I mean, obviously I made the highest upside play I could, but not really expecting this to go that well for me. Hopefully we can just chain some Temur Calls the Deads to juice our graveyard up, and then hit them with an unexpected Storm Herald. The problem is that we haven't seen any auras yet. Like, the Storm Herald is only as good as like all that glitters that you have in your graveyard. Right now we obviously have nothing yet. Solemn. Wow, I will get to untap. The other thing that is worth considering, given that we have a Storm Herald in our deck, is that getting cards like Cetizen Training out of our hand is typically very useful. So it doesn't matter if they ultimately wind up in the graveyard. You don't want to wind up in a situation where you've been kind of too timid to cast your auras and they wind up all in your hand, because there's ways to get value out of them if they are no longer in play. So my opponent did not remove the Cetizen Champion last turn, which makes me wonder if they can. So I think I need to see it. And again, I'm going to get my card back for this Demonic Embrace. And once that happens, if they kill this thing, they kill this thing. I don't like the way that Arena tapped for me. I wish I had the climb pathway still open, because I could have drawn a Sentinel's Eyes. But okay, no harm, no foul. There's no green 1-drop. Like, that should not have been the thing that was left open. We could have also drawn an Ailset of Life's Bounty, and then we would have felt sad for the auto tapper. So they fetched Swamp off of their Solemn, meaning that they do have intentions of casting black spells. There's some sort of Mardu deck. If they're playing Doom Foretold, then I love the fact that we have these recurrent enchantments in our deck, like Sentinel's Eyes, Escape Velocity, and Demonic Embrace. It makes it very hard for them to chew through and hit your actual permanents. The upkeep activation of Mazemind Tome was not exactly a show of strength either. Let's see what's coming here. They did just scry with it. They did not draw a card. So obviously they were fishing for something like Shatter the Sky. Which if they have, they have. We kind of got our value. I'll probably wind up bolting myself and playing 2 black spells if that's where this goes. If they ignore me again, I'm going to hit him for 8 next turn. I can't imagine that's what's going to happen, though. They bolt to 11. What you got? They have another Mazemind Tome. And no way to interact with my flying 5/5 enchantress effect? No, they have a Shatter the Sky. Okay, that's fair. Let's see if we can dig out of this. So my goal is to try to build out a board again while enhancing my graveyard, and I'm hoping that we can set it up so that if they kind of tap out for an Ugin, that we'll be able to Storm Herald them. So unfortunately, we're going to have to use up our Agadeem's Awakening here, but such is life. What do we got? Also, it's pretty much impossible to brick when Temur Calls the Dead. You have so many enchantments in your deck, and those count. We hit a Sentinel's Eyes, and we also hit an All That Glitters. Those are 2 good things. So Mire Triton is the safest card to get rid of. And then we will bolt and play Mire Triton again. Hitting another All That Glitters. All right, our graveyard must be big enough. We have 2 All That Glitters and a Demonic Embrace in there now. So even if all I do is bring these 3 things back, all that glitters is worth 3, and the demonic embrace is also worth 3. So our issue is that we don't have a red source, and we're not really on track to draw both the red source and the Storm Herald. But imagine that we were to mill the Storm Herald and draw a Call of the Death Dweller, then we would be able to attack for lethal right now. Wow, I'm playing against the Boros control deck. They've played Outlaw's Merriment. You got it. It looks like they are splashing black for presumably some removal spells. One thing that I learned in testing is that Call of the Death Dweller and Agadeem's Awakening are not interchangeable, because Call of the Death Dweller will put counters on the creatures that come back, and that can help you dodge Heartless Act. Okay, well, that's step 1. Storm Herald? Storm Herald, come on. You know you want to? Ah, damn. That would have been so cool. Okay, in that case, let's play Citizen Training. We have not played a land yet, but we obviously can't draw both a red source and the Storm Herald. I'm hoping to draw the red source, though. Ooh, okay, I'm in for that. So let's put Hateful Eidolon on the battlefield. And I think we just kind of move all in on our Mire Triton. Just milling out, or exiling lands where possible. And we'll get in our hit for 4 here. And now we have 2 cards in escrow, which feels quite good. And it is still the case that our graveyard is plenty juiced enough for us to potentially win the game on the spot if we were to find a Storm Herald. Though I guess we're not going to mill any more cards with this TCD. Bang. Go. I like that if they hit the 1/2, they can't kill any of my creatures. 3/1 with trample, that's fine. Note that the Mire Triton has both trample and death touch, so it is going to just fly through whatever is blocking it. So that actually does kind of put my opponent in a pickle. They know about a demonic embrace, so they're going to have to do something to get themselves either above 7 life or clear the Mire Triton. See what they got. You may attack with your 3/1. No interest in blocking that. Also note that the Mire Triton is a zombie for Temur Calls the Dead purposes. I'm guessing we're getting shattered again, but I'm going to draw a lot of cards from this. Red source? Red source? Should I discard to hand size? I'm sorely tempted to just discard to hand size here. Yeah, you know what? I'm doing it. Yep, they're going to draw cards and stuff off of this. I hope that what they do is just slam an Ugin, and then I unexpectedly smash them. Okay, was that actually correct? No, I was probably supposed to just play the land and play the TCD, but man, I hope this works because I want to do what the deck is supposed to do. Yeah, drawing the Savai Triumph should have changed my opinion. But when I just drew the 3 Storm Herald, I think that actually discarding to hand size was like possibly correct. Now, after I had a red source to just play it next turn anyway, it probably stopped being correct. Whatever. Let's see what we got. So they have 3 mana open. They go back to 8, and they play another Outlaw's Merriment. So, okay. No harm, no foul. It worked out. We're going to win. Cycle this for no real reason because I cannot interact. That's not how my deck works. So then we'll play Call of the Death Dweller. Just getting back a Storm Herald. The Storm Herald will bring the whole complement of stuff back. And we have a 2117 on the battlefield. And kaboom. Let's go to game 2. I don't love many of my options here. You notice that we have nothing that will let me clear an Ugin, which is unfortunate. Like Apparition will be fine against their Maze Mind Tomes, which is probably worth considering. When I have to shave things and I'm not totally sure, the first place I look is like Citizen Champion, because it's a card that you're just going to have to put on the battlefield and cross your fingers. They are probably going to bring in something like Soul Guide Lantern against me, I would guess. They might also have Hushbringers. Hushbringer would be quite annoying. I don't know that I'm necessarily set up to beat them in a fair fight without cards like Fight as One to blank their removal. Though, don't underestimate the power of like an Aelcid with multiple evasive enchantments on it. It's quite good. The other thing to note, so when I'm suspecting that, I like to shave Call of the Death Dweller as well, because that card is not good if we're not going to be able to keep cards in our graveyard. Maybe something like this. Note that I'm going down to 61, but not below that. The deck is 61 cards, so we can't go below 61. All right. My opponent has mulliganed, and I think this hand is fine. Notice that we have the Triome and Pathway opener, where I know what I'm supposed to do with the Pathway, which is nice. It's going to be a little bit of time before I get my double black going, but that doesn't really matter. So I am, yeah, see, there's the Lantern. We're going to have to try to beat them on the board, but that is our plan, so that's fine. Oh, great. So we're going to go Triome into Mire Triton into Apparition, and I'm hoping that they have a Maze Mind Tome in play that I can eat. So we already have the white source, so I'm just going to make sure that I have the green. Yeah, this is fine. Playing the right sides of your pathways is obviously important, and it's very easy to mess it up, or at least it's been very easy for me to mess it up. So to kind of ensure that I do this right, we're just going to do it immediately. Can I mill a Sentinel's Eyes? Because they just kind of set me up. Ooh, I didn't like seeing that. I'm going to need to draw those All That Glitters this game, because I do not think we're going to succeed in bringing them back. Sure. I think we just munch that thing. Champion. Change of plans. So the thing is that I cannot plan to activate an Aelcid to protect my Citizen Champion for 2 turns. So I think I'm just going to make my opponent show me a removal spell. And if they don't show me one, then I'll play Aelcid and Sentinel's Eyes and hold up the Aelcid. But confusingly, they did not show me a removal spell for this thing last game. All right, let's start here and see what happens. If they kill the champion in response, then so be it. I will change gears and play the Apparition, but they did not. So now I feel like the coast is clear to go ahead and just load up on Sentinel's Eyes. So that is my plan. I'm going to go Eyes. Unfortunately, we don't have a Hateful Eidolon in play. Ooh, okay, change of plans. Do I play the Hateful Eidolon? So obviously they could have a Shatter the Sky, and I would not like to lose everything to that. I changed my mind. Me drawing cards here would obviously be nice, but I'm just going to play Eyes again. Like, now they have to have Shatter. I'm guessing that they do have the Shatter, but they sure as hell ain't attacking me with the Bone Crusher Giant first. That's not going to accomplish anything. And if they have a Triome, as their fourth land. Okay, never mind. Just hoping. Then they would not be able to accomplish that. Sure, that's fine. Now let's see how aggressively they want to use the Soul Guide Lantern, because they have the opportunity to take 2 Sentinel's Eyes out from under me right now. If they let me untap, then they kind of lose that ability. I'm going to get at least one of them now. So this would be a reasonable time to do it. I obviously just lied. They could crack it right now if they wanted to. They might feel like Sentinel's Eyes is not big enough of a prize to use up the lantern. They're thinking they're going to use it. Okay. Then I'll play TCD and the other Sentinel's Eyes. That's fine. Ooh, we hit an Ailsid. I'll take that. And add an insurance policy. So at this point, we've lost 2 All That Glitters and 2 Sentinel's Eyes, which is not the end of the world. We still have all our Demonic Embraces. Probably going to fetch a black source here. I wonder... We still haven't seen a black spell from our opponent. Oh no, we saw a Bloodchief's Thirst. I retract that. We did see a Bloodchief's Thirst last game. I wonder what I would do if they played Outlaw's Merriment. Like, Wow. Interesting. Okay. Hello. So, let's see. I can make this thing a 5-4 and then a 6-4, but obviously that doesn't attack past a Baneslayer Angel. I guess we start with the Citizen training. And Baneslayer's a 5, right? So we're not using the Skyclave Apparition on it. See what happens. Okay. I mean, I think we load up because Hateful Eidolon says that should be alright. And do I need... I don't really need any more green or red sources, so I'm just going to play this out as a white. Obviously, the Crown Pathway is kind of a double splash card, which is a little bit of a nuisance. This thing has a lot of attacks, but it does not have vigilance. So I'm curious what their plan is about the backswing. Like, my monster also has... Oh, they're just instantly going to shatter this guy and give me 3 cards. Well, I'm not complaining about that. I only have a Hateful Eidolon in my graveyard as far as creatures are concerned, which is a little disappointing. Oh, so never mind then. As far as Agadeem's Awakening is concerned. So they should probably just eat the Demonic Embrace. I draw another Demonic Embrace. Okay. Let's just make them use it. And then I'll add an Embrace since the Lantern will be gone. And this way, if all they can do is shatter again, we will get a card back from it. They're on 6 mana, so they are not Ugaining. Just a Solemn. And we're sure not Apparitioning that. So the All That Glitters is worth 2. We would attack for 7. So that would change the clock from 4 turns to 3. Lantern again. Okay. Well, they obviously are trying to fight us on that axis. So we'll have to think about what that means when we go to sideboarding again. Like, I don't want to draw Call of the Death Dweller anymore. Ooh. We'll just rely on Agadeem's Awakening. That's how it's going to go. So this is only 9. Unfortunately, neither of those 2 enchantments that I just put into play are evasive. If they were, I could have considered putting it on the Apparition. But Playing the Apparition to eat the Solemn is not a terrible idea. Obviously, it goes pretty bad for us if they untap and Shatter or Ugin. But this does present lethal. Like, we'll have to see what their last card is. They might need to just crack the Soul Guide Lantern for a card. I don't like that they didn't do that. If their last card was Ugin, they still need Ugin land. Ruinous Ultimatum. Okay. You got it. So one of them doesn't give anything back, and the other gives them a 4/4. And they still have the stupid Lantern in play. That wasn't the card I wanted them to have. I'll say that. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to get any value out of Agadeem's Awakening. There's no way to get any value out of the Storm Herald either. So I guess that means that we just save. We have to save one of them. It doesn't look like the Agadeem's Awakening is going to do anything. This is at least a 3-mana creature with haste. Oh, I don't have 3 black in play? Oh, look at how many times I played Brightheim Pathway as a white source. Oops. Well, this was a Verge Pathway, and this was a Loft Pathway, so I don't feel that bad about those. Well, that's unfortunate. 3 Soul Guide Lanterns in the top 19 cards will do that to us. And we're already through half our deck. Yep. I think our plan might be having them draw fewer lanterns. Well, what can you do? I guess we're not technically dead, but I don't really know what gets us out of this. I mean, like, imagine we drew a Hateful Eidolon or something. We could have a 4-power lifelinking blocker next turn. I'll give them one more. I'll give my... Okay, good. Never mind. I wanted to concede. Thank you. We're not going to time our opponent out either. Okay, so what does that whole thing make me want to do? I think it's take out Call of the Death Dweller. And so now we need to find some other stuff to have on the battlefield. Fight as one looks good against their removal. Sweet. I can see playing Cetessan Champion. All they want to do is sweep the board. Like, we didn't see any other ways to clear this thing. I also can see Hushbringer. Now, Hushbringer is not a combo with any of our cards, right? Neither with Hateful Eidolon nor with Cetessan Champion, but it is a body that can wear enchantments, and it flies and has lifelink, which is like a good suite of stuff to have. Having said that, I don't know that I'm going to go that route. I think we're going to just leave it like this and try to draw slightly better and have them draw slightly worse. Game 3 on the play. We need some of those lands, and the only land that we have is the double splash land, so I don't think we can keep that. This one at least has a white source, though it doesn't... Oh, it does. It has an Agadeem's Awakening. Great. Okay, let's keep this for sure. I kind of like the Eidolon Cetessan training package, so maybe I put the Fight as one back, which is a little disappointing, but I need to see cards. And this Cetessan training is going to be worth 1 on the way in and 1 on the way out. So we'll play green source, Cetessan training, and then the Verge pathway can be a white source. We're not as dependent on Storm Herald when we're playing against Infinite Lanterns, so we're not going to worry too much about... Sure. Okay, this worked out. About having a red source in play. Like, if that happens on turn 10, that's fine. So now I can't get stomped. I could get Bloodchief's Thirsted again. I don't know that this was great for our opponent to lead on Black Source. I mean, maybe they have 2 Bloodchief's Thirst in their hand, but it did not look like very many of their spells could be cast with a swamp. Ooh. Okay, we'll hold the phone on that Cetessan training because the champion has arrived. I also like that they haven't played a white source yet, right? So if their plan is to shatter at some point, they are still 2 away from that lantern, okay? They might need to just crack this before anything winds up in the graveyard, if this is the colors of mana that they can produce. TCD is nice, but I think I want to pressure our opponent, and doing this will... I guess either way I wasn't going to get up to a 4-power creature, though, like we said, Shatter is not on the menu quite yet. That is awesome. That is awesome for so many reasons. Fight as one looks for a human and a non-human, and we have both of those, right? So Tessin Champion is a human, and this is a spirit. So we're kind of insulated at the moment, and we'll continue to be insulated even as we play TCD next turn. They did have to crack their Maze Mind Tome, presumably looking for better colors of mana. So next turn we play this and attack for 6, and then if we can just find one more thing. That's not quite a... I guess that's a thing. That counts. Yeah, that's good. They missed their land drop. And we'll still hold up, save our 2 big creatures. There's white source number 1. And a Solemn. Solemn resolves. I mean, this is also a +2/+2 combat trick. Not that I think that that's going to get us over the line here, but just that is how it works. Okay, so there's land number 2. White source number 2. So I'm expecting our opponent to try to shatter next turn, so we better make sure we keep a white mana available. We draw an Ailsid. So this is going to have to find us a white source if we want to play that thing. We hit a Sentinel's Eyes. Eat a TCD. And now we draw. And now we draw. That is a Crown Pathway, so that doesn't quite do it. I guess now we have to answer the question, like, suppose I attack, they block here, and they leave 5 open. So if I play the Ailsid, then that's going to get through 7, so that's not good enough. So I think that we just... chill here and blow out their Shatter the Sky and take it from there. They draw a card. They're probably like ecstatic that we gave them the Solemn card. And I don't think it matters. I've already got a green source, so but I also have a Savai Triumph. This is like meaningless. All right, whatever, and go. So now upkeep. If they have an untapped land, they could potentially just draw a card and then tap out for the Shatter the Sky, but it does not look like the direction that they're going. Wow. Fight is one. Looming large here. We are only by a whisker insulated from Extinction Event. These are all odds, but the zombie token with the Sentinel's Eyes on it would get the job done. Obviously, we can't really defend against that if that's what they do. And we can't defend against Extinction Event if what they do is play... if what we have is fight as one. Then we untap and win the game. All right, we're 1-0. Back for match 2 shortly. Here we go, match number 2 on the play with an unkeepable hand. All right, how about with this 6? We were putting a lot of faith into our Hateful Eidolon here, but I think this is a keep. I'm going to put back a Setessan Training. Unfortunately, I think we have to start with the Untitled Triumph. Like, if we could go Hateful Eidolon into Setessan Training, that would obviously be 1,000 times better, but what can you do? This is the price you pay. So drawing like a Triumph would be nice, or Sentinel's Eyes. Call of the Death Dweller. I need double black for the Demonic Embraces, so I guess we'll just do this. Our opponent played a water pathway, so we're expecting to see a, what's it called? Soaring Thought Thief here. This is certainly not getting drowned in the lock. Eliminated. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. We can't do anything. But what can you do? Slitherwisp. Okay, so this is not rogues. This is flash. I think this is just going to attack us 7 times and kill us. Oh, okay. Make that 5 times and kill us. We lose life for that? What? Excuse me? You draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Yep, well, we're mega dead. I already have a green source, but not a red one, so we'll do this, get it countered, and probably scoop. Thieves Guild Enforcer, draw 2 cards. Mill me 2. We're not close to that Thieves Guild Enforcer activating. There's the Thought Thief. So this is rogues, but with eliminate, which is not a typical choice, and playing Slitherwisps instead. So now when that attacks, they'll have, yeah, all right, I've seen enough. The rogues will turn on. I can block 1 thing, but I'm gonna die. Okay, we just need to draw a little better, I guess. What can we do? I don't hate the extinction events. They're gonna juice our graveyard for us, so that makes me less interested in something like Temur Calls the Dead. So we could potentially cut those for the extinction events. I like Skyclave Apparition as well. I don't hate Hushbringer either. These games are going to play out kind of on a different axis than the last ones that we just watched. Maybe we cut like a couple of Mire Tritons and bring in the Hushbringers. I just want to have something that's evasive and will eat their removal spells in a way that I don't think Mire Triton really will. I mean, I guess Mire Triton is fine to block. Okay, how about we cut... Actually, I don't like these Setessan champions as much. Oh man. Yeah, okay. I guess we'll play Counterspell. Alright, trying again. This hand looks better. Not great, but better. Can I play Ailsid into Setessan Training? I cannot. So I guess we'll have to lead on the Endatha Triome. And then probably just Triome and play the Ailsid. Yeah, Hateful Eidolon would make me more interested in playing the Sentinel's Eyes, but, you know what, I'm going to do it. We'll stand up to a Slitherwisp. Okay, climb pathway like that. So, let's get blown out. I mean, I could have attacked for 2 first, but I don't know that that's the margin that's going to matter here. And add Triome. So now I can use this Storm Herald just as a cantrip. Like, I don't have to bring everything back if I don't want to. That might be nice. Let's see if this resolves. It does not. So I'll add black source number 3. Demonic Embrace. Sure. So I could use the Agadeem's Awakening just to get back the Ailsid, where I could play it as a mana, like as a land drop. Probably the land drop is better. Notice I do not need to get the Sentinel's Eyes with the Storm Herald here because I can just recover it. Like the Storm Herald is a sneak attack. The cards go away at the end of the turn, so I don't want to recover things that could have staying power. Okay. Will you let the ability resolve? You will not. Then I will choose nothing. And go. I will not put Sentinel's Eyes on your Soaring Thought Thief. Thank you for the idea, Arena. Okay. Now I want to see enchantments hit my graveyard. So those were not two good cards to mill over. This was not a good card to draw. This is all going pretty negatively. They add a Thieves Guild Enforcer. Are they going to play with Slitherwisp? They played Zarathan. Ugh. I think we are now done here. I wonder what they're going to get back. I'll take one more draw, but we're not beating that. They should probably get our Hushbringer. Oh, Setessan training for a cantrip. That makes sense. Yep. You win. Next match. 1-1. Match number 3. Opponent has mulliganed. Yeesh. This is a slightly risky keep, but I do like that I have all 4 colors of mana. And obviously, if I can start playing Setessan champions, I think we might have a chance here. So, Yorion is the companion. I'm expecting to be playing against some kind of Doom Foretold deck. Though if this is Selesnya, we're in a lot of trouble. Okay, it is in fact Doom Foretold. I think this matchup is fine if I draw lands, but we haven't yet. Drawing all 3 drops is pretty bad for us. We get one more turn. Go. And because we need to escape cards and we have Temur Calls the Dead, etc., we definitely want to sacrifice this in response to Glass Casket. How prescient that I was starting to say that, expecting the Glass Casket to be coming. Let's try to mill some cards. I'm hoping to play Setessan Champion together with like a Sentinel's Eyes next turn. That would be the dream. Treacherous Blessing. Okay. So we like want to draw an untapped land and mill a Sentinel's Eyes. That would be the perfect combination of stuff. We hit the Sentinel's Eyes at least. TCD. It's TCD. I like that if they are just going to play a Doom Foretold next turn, we have this like useless permanent that we can get rid of. I think I'm just going to run it back. Let's put some zombies on the battlefield. And I don't mind eating the Setessan Champion. Of course, I also wouldn't mind scrying 3. I should make sure that I have the ability to manually order triggered abilities, because we kind of want to do something that Arena doesn't want us to do. I would rather scry before I mill, because my goal is to put enchantments in my graveyard, preparing for the Storm Herald. And so if I were to mill first, like I'm not trying to set up future draws. I'm just trying to make sure that I juice my graveyard. So that's what I'm thinking about. All right, take 1 to eat a zombie. I accept that. Amusingly, this Lithiform Blight might actually be good for me. We drew the untapped land. I like that. So I'm going to scry first, and then I will mill 3. And I don't care about either of these cards, so I don't want them on top of my deck. Let's try to mill something relevant. Call of the Death Dweller. So we did. We hit an enchantment. I like that. Then I can also... The other good thing about that combination is that this TCD can eat the one that just popped, which is better than the alternative, obviously. Okay, so let's play... It doesn't really matter because I actually have a 5-color land in play now, so I'll play Setessan Champion. And then we'll suit up one of the creatures that can attack. Draw a card. And get in there. We're also very insulated against Doom Foretold at this point because we could just sack the Sentinel's Eyes and recover it indefinitely. Now, they do have 2 empty Glass Caskets, so if they have naturally drawn a Yorion, this would be a pretty good turn to wallop us. Yep, that's fine. I mean, not good, but that's fine. On the plus side, to whatever there is a plus side, they cannot take the Sentinel's Eyes, right? They have to take the creature out from under it, and so it'll trigger our next Setessan Champion. But definitely at this point, we're hoping to find a Storm Herald. And with that in mind, I kind of wouldn't mind drawing some way to put this All That Glitters on the battlefield. These All That Glitters is on the battlefield, since my goal is to eventually Storm Herald them back. So I'm going to keep Call of the Death Dweller, because we're going to draw that card this turn, and we're going to hope to find either a Herald or some way to mill a Herald going forward. So let's play Triumph tapped, put this Cetessan Champion into play, and recast the Sentinel's Eyes. It doesn't really matter where I put it. Actually, given that it doesn't matter where I put it, I think I'm supposed to put it on the Cetessan Champion itself. I can't attack this turn, since this is actually the one that's most likely to die. And I want this Sentinel's Eyes to wind up back in my graveyard so that I could play it again on my next Cetessan Champion, if that's where it comes. I think that's where we wind up in another turn. We have just the Cetessan Training in our graveyard right now. And depending on what my opponent does here, we might just go Glitters. Skyclave Apparition to eat the Cetessan Champion, sure. Well, the next Yorion is obviously going to be pretty strong. And the other issue with the next Yorion is that it's presumably going to go after enchantments, which I've been trying to avoid. So if I play Glitters plus Demonic Embrace next turn, then that would be like plus 2/3 toughness. So I could attack with a 5 toughness creature. I kind of don't hate that. Again, getting enchantments out of my hand is good for me. Oh, never mind. I don't have double black. Well, okay, that does kind of change things. So we'll play Champion 3. And I'm just going to put in All That Glitters on it. And keep drawing. So now when they presumably inevitably kill my Cetessan Champion, we'll have one more thing to potentially bring back with our Storm Herald. Like, this is mana that's saved on a future turn. Elspeth Conquers Death. I can't take the All That Glitters, which is amusingly the only thing that I actually care about. Like, I'm at 24 life. We're not under threat right now. And I could... there they are picking up the Yorion, which is obviously pretty dangerous. We could use the Call of the Death Dweller just to get back a Cetessan Champion, but I don't think that accomplishes very much. I think we're just going to move in here and force a block on the current Yorion. Oh, we ran out of... Oh, I can pay, though. Hey, wait a second. Could I have played the Demonic Embrace last turn? It just doesn't want me to use the Lithoform Blight. That's a nuisance. Bang. And go. So now I'm taxed, but that doesn't really matter. Now they're going to Yorion and presumably just casket my creatures. Oh, Omen of the Sun, that's fine. There is somewhere among these cards a Cetessan Training, so we will have both Flying and Trample if we find the Storm Herald that we're praying to find. But I will say that the Call of the Death Dweller has gone down in value. And unfortunately, this ECD is going to eat the Demonic Embrace because it's the only target. Unless the Glass Casket takes it first. Oh, that's so good for me. All right, all of these wind up in the bin. Then, shouldn't there have been another casket trigger? I'm very confused. Did they just miss one? I'll have to go back and look at the tape. All right, I like that too. So now I still have the mana after this to potentially play the Call of the Death Dweller if we hit. We do not. Well, that's kind of disappointing. I can't play the Demonic Embrace out of my graveyard because I do not want to discard the Call of the Death Dweller. Though at this point, like, I'm just going to be drawing the Storm Herald. Though I guess there's... Alright, so I don't think there's any reason not to just play one of my Sentinel's Eyes. So let's do that. I mean, I have plenty of lands. That was not true. I had 2 lands in my graveyard that I can get rid of. And I did not have a Hateful Eidolon down here that I could get back, so that's fine. I will not attack, and you may go. The ECD was blunk by Urian, so we're back under attacks. Yep. That's fine. I was thinking that I have enough mana that I could potentially... that's not fine. That is fine. Thank you for taking the Sentinel's Eyes instead of the Mire Triton. Because if they had taken the Mire Triton, I would have had nothing to sacrifice, and the Doom Foretold would have gotten the card out of my hand. I was thinking I had enough mana to play both a Chimeric Calls the Dead and a Call of the Death Dweller, but I apparently do not. I'm 1 short. Oh, great. Now I have it. Doesn't really accomplish anything. So their next turn is going to involve getting back a Yorion, the one that they chump blocked with, which is kind of bad news for me, since that's going to just reset everything. I mean, it won't reset the ECD, but it'll reset both of the Skyclave apparitions, which is obviously a big problem. Okay, if that's the case, then we just pass, plan to discard the Verge Pathway, and hope that we get another turn and we draw a Storm Herald, because I don't anticipate them realizing that they might actually be dead. So how much will we attack for? We have 2 All That Glitters, a Sentinel's Eyes, a Demonic Embrace, and a Setessan Training. So there's 5 enchantments in our graveyard. So each All That Glitters is worth 5. So that's 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 plus Trample. So it would be an 18 power creature, which I think would be enough. But I think we do need to naturally draw it. Archon of Sun's Grace, so that gives them an effective 3 life. And an Omen of the Sun is coming back. So I'm guessing they probably have enough flying lifelink now that we're not going to get there. Not that I actually anticipate drawing the stupid Storm Herald, but it would be nice if we did. None of this matters. Can we see what Yorion has taken? Yeah, a Doom Foretold. So 3 enchantments. Yeah, they must have enough flying blocking then. Not close. That's disappointing. So I guess we'll have to draw Chimeric Calls the Dead. Brutal. We needed to draw Chimeric Calls the Dead and then mill like All That Glitters, All That Glitters. And Storm Herald, and then call the Death Dweller back the Storm Herald. I mean, that was a good one. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Attack for 23 flying and see what happens. I also... I don't think there was any way out, but I probably should have called the Death Dweller back the Setessan Champion before playing the Storm Herald, and would have at least drawn a bunch of cards. Though we do know that we have no interaction. So the only card that actually could have mattered off the top might have been another All That Glitters, and we were not drawing that. Well, I did eat through all of their flying at least. So that was cute. Then all the enchantments go away at end of turn, and once that happens, the Storm Herald is back down to a 3/2. It obviously had an entire Pegasus army worth of damage on it, and it died. And I'm actually technically still not dead, though there's like no way back, because all of our enchantments have been exiled. Yeah, okay. I've seen enough. Yeah, that was only an attack for 13. I wonder what their plan is against opposing graveyard decks. Like, will they have access to Soul Guide Lantern? Most decks do. And if so, does that make us want to cut things like Call of the Death Dweller? The decks that don't, we get to like bring in a plan A card. We can play Binding of the Titans to like mill ourselves even more quickly. It just seems futile to like try to apparition them. We're not fighting on that axis really. All right, I like that. Let's try to really go for it. So then I don't feel like I need escape velocity. And we could probably shave like a Setessan champion. All right, there's my 61. On the play, game 2. Well, I wanted Storm Heralds, right? I think this hand is quite bad. This hand's unkeepable because we don't have a black source. All right. Let's play on 5. I guess we just bin these 2, and at least we can like kind of play spells. So we'll go green source into Triumph. Ooh, Mire Triton. Interesting. I'm still going to do this, though. While I can't get eliminated or anything. Like, they should really just casket me. Okay, sure. Nothing like feeling kind of forced to keep a hand like this and then drawing all lands. I mean, maybe cycling my only black source is not the best plan, but I don't really see what I'm supposed to do. I needed to find like a Setessan champion to pair with the Sentinel's Eyes to try to dig myself out of the card disadvantage that I was feeling. Opponent does nothing. That must mean they have like mono removal spells. You can't stop the trigger. Yep. We draw a demonic. I mean, we flip a demonic embrace. All right, so then we'll play another white source and pass, intending to cycle the Triumph. Are they just going to pick up Urion because they have nothing else to do? So we've hit an All That Glitters, a Demonic Embrace, and a Setessan Training. We're doing kind of good on enchantments in the graveyard. All right. Can't complain about that. I'm going to afford this. No, you can't eliminate it. Sure, Heartless Act 2. You got it. Might as well just discard the land, question mark? I think so, because if we draw something like Call of the Death Dweller, then we would rather have the ability to like bring back Setessan Champion and then cast Sentinel's Eyes. Obviously, now that we see that we have drawn a land, we would rather have cycled. I mean, there could be some argument to cycling there. Like, we ultimately are trying to put cards in our graveyard. Temur Cults of Dead? Anything that does anything? Somehow we've drawn all these lands. I mean, I guess I've cycled a bunch of black lands, and I'm going to cycle another one. We need like a Lithiform Blight or something. Ugh. Sheesh. So I've never cycled as many Triumphs as I just have. In this game, we've got 5 in our graveyard already. I mean, amusingly, the Storm Herald does represent a reasonable amount of damage. Not enough to actually do anything, but a reasonable amount of damage. I almost feel like I need to play it just to get the Cetessan training back because I can't do anything right now. Like just sitting here and getting plinked by a 2/2 is kind of insulting. Yep. Right, so the Storm Herald is worth 3, 6, 7, 10 damage right now. And obviously it can be blown out by so many things. This is why I held my land last turn, because I thought I might get Doom Foretold. Another All That Glitters is worth 4. No, it's worth 5. So this would be an attack for 15. Yeah, I mean, I think we just wait. Like, what if we draw Temur Calls the Dead and then mill over a couple enchantments and then play the Storm Herald? We won't get this All That Glitters, but what can you do? Duress does get the All That Glitters. Okay, I like that. So we have a plan. It's not a good plan, but we have a plan. Right now our graveyard attacks for 15. We have no plan. The Binding of the Titans. Each player mills 3 cards. That's all it does. That's the joke. There's the Temur Calls the Dead right on top. Did I like fail to cycle a card that I could have? I feel like I played most of them.
No, yeah, you did.
I mean, I needed to play a black source at some point. What can you do? 1 or 2. Match number 4 on the draw. Yeah, I mean, how much better is it going to get? I think this hand is fine. We unfortunately don't have the turn 1 white source for the Ailsid. This is a crown pathway and not the needle whatever pathway. Ooh, hello. Okay, this is great. So I can do this as my white source. And then I could play this as my green source. And then the Triome makes the red. So I've got all the colors covered. Meanwhile, it looks like we're playing against some kind of Doom Foretold deck again. Which can't be good for us. I wonder if I'm supposed to just play a 3/2 with haste here. Probably. It's not like I mean, I can rebuy the thing. So I don't really see what I gain from holding it forever. At some point, this thing's going to die. And then either with Agadeem's Awakening or Call of the Death Dweller, we can bring it back. I actually am kind of feeling the double All That Glitters just to hit for as much as possible. I want to put my opponent under a bit of stress to whatever extent I can. I also don't feel a real need to play out these Triomes when I have nothing else going on. Like, I'm probably going to wind up cycling both of these. I would call our board position here tenuous. Sure. I guess that's one reason to be suspicious of playing it out, but what can you do? Alright, that's a castable. Sounds like a low bar to clear, but what I found is that this deck has a hard time drawing cards in the right order. Like, you need to have some cards before others. You can't have a handful of All That Glitters. It doesn't do anything. But somehow getting castables and mana to cast them has been a slog in these games, hasn't it? Ooh. Interesting. So we're 1 short. That's disappointing, but maybe I can put my opponent under the Treacherous Blessing lock? Probably not, huh? Oh, opponent, you're not supposed to play the Heartless Act until I've already committed all of these All That Glitters. Now I can just say no to that and put this into play tapped. And now the Agadeem's Awakening is lethal from 7, so they need to have something. Oh man, I forgot that Elspeth's Nightmare was going off. Oh well. I mean, what was he supposed to do? Play the Elspeth's Nightmare, I guess? Or, sorry, play the Agadeem's Awakening as a land, I guess, but I wasn't going to get to attack with my Storm Herald. Still, that was a card I didn't need to lose. Storm Herald or Call of the Death Dweller or Agadeem's Awakening will still present 7 points of damage, so my opponent is going to have to deal with that. I obviously only have one more turn since Elspeth's Nightmare is going to exile the graveyard. So I guess we'll have to see. Like, in theory, on that turn, I could have cycled the Triumph. Like, I should still have a Triumph in my hand that I could cycle. What's my next card under this? Was this a test in training? Well, I think we're pretty done here. I don't really know what it would look like to come back. I was about to say, Temur Calls the Dead probably is the way to start. Hopefully we can juice our graveyard up. We already have this Attestant training there, so a future Storm Herald will have trample at least. But that seems to be the best I can say at the moment. It's impossible to get back 2 Setessan champions with 1 card, so I think it's safe to just let it go. This Maze Mind Tome is on 3 now, so they're at an effective 13 life. I mean, this game is over. I mean, is there a sequence of cards I could flip that would get me out of this? Like, I flip all the glitters, Demonic Embrace, and then draw a Storm Herald off the top naturally. That's the kind of thing that would be needed. That would still only be 12, right? Yeah, okay, I've like basically seen enough. Especially drawing a land. Alright. Let's go to game 2. I think I want Binding in this matchup. I feel like we are going to need to be quicker with our main plan, because we can't interact with what they're doing. We can't disenchant a Doom Foretold. Alright, game 2. I like having a Temur Calls the Dead. Let's keep this. These crown pathways are quite bad. I'm tired of drawing them. I mean, I know we need a green source at some point, but they don't actually help us cast our spells. So we'll start here and Aelcid, and then we'll probably go Triumph, Aelcid, and then we'll go green source, Temur Calls the Dead. And hope that at some point we draw something like that. Unfortunately, against this opponent, I mean, I guess Glass Casket is the issue, but if they play Eliminate, we can save all the glitters. Alright, I like Temur Calls the Dead as much as the next person, but I also like hitting my opponent as hard as possible, so let's take that route. They make a wall. They just play another Bertham Elitis? Does that mean they're not interacting this turn? I guess they could have a Blood Chief's Thirst still? They don't. Okay, okay. I admit I wasn't expecting that to be their next turn. So I'll eat the next TCD. And I'm going to play this and bolt. We have a bajillion life, and this lets us hold up a protection spell to try to keep our All That Glitters on the battlefield. They block the 6. They have another wall coming, so that makes sense. So they're going to make a wall and gain 2 life. I like that if they play Doom Foretold here, Well, we have this TCD that could go. Oh, a Skyclave Apparition. That's pretty strong. And it's also white. So if they go after this one, there's not much I can do about it. I think I just let this happen. Like, there's no reason to sacrifice it, and then there's nothing under the apparition. I guess there was a reason to sacrifice it. I retract that. If I had sacrificed it, I would be guaranteed to have some fuel for the... Sorry, for the Temur Calls the Dead, right? There should be an extra card here, which would have been useful. So Storm Herald can't be brought back. I could bring back the Hateful Eidolon. It's not clear that that's particularly good. I'm definitely not eating the Herald, though. Or the All the Glitters. I guess I'll eat the Hateful Eidolon. And then let's play Mire Triton, see what we flip. Hitting Call was unfortunate. I'll pass. I don't know what was right there. I feel like all of the choices for what to exile were close. Back to me. Ooh, I draw another Temur Calls the Dead. I like that. I like that I'm going to get to scry and set up before I play the next one. Okay, the land doesn't seem relevant. Putting another Storm Herald in the graveyard is okay. And I don't mind the Hateful Eidolon is something that I can get guaranteed eat. Sure. I guess we also have the Temur Calls the Dead to eat, so we'll start there. And then we'll attack, at least with this. Sure. Not having found a Demonic Embrace yet is kind of frustrating. Though the fact that they haven't found an Elspeth's Nightmare is pleasant. Alright, we can eat Binding safely. I don't have a green source because I played this for red to play the Escape Velocity, which was a mistake because I already had a red source. Well, that was bound to catch up with me. Alright, so let's... Oh, and I don't have triple black either. Well, this is a mess. Let's get in there with our zombie army. So the block on the wall is free and they're going to take 4. I like that. Their Yorion is going to be quite good, isn't it? I guess not insane. I should be able to stop the Skyclave Apparition from doing anything too dangerous. But they're going to get a lot of card advantage out of their omens. So we have an All That Glitters in our graveyard, and that's like it. We've milled half our deck, and we've seen 2 enchantments total. I wonder what's up with this. I will block. They want to give me back a creature because they're going to shatter this guy? Okay, that's fine. I mean, not great, but what can you do? I wish I had a card in my deck that had escape that like did something. Like imagine if there was like a Woast Rider or something Elspeth. Because we often get in the position where we've put 27 cards in our graveyard and then we can't do anything. Sorry, green source. No, they just pick up and play Yorion. No, they have a Yorion. Can't cast that. I've seen enough. Well, after winning the very first match, we have not been close to competitive. Let's see if match 5 changes anything. Here we go, match number 5. Have we tanked our elo enough to get a more favorable pairing? So our hand lacks red mana, but I mean, it kind of also lacks any kind of action. Robber the Rich. Oh no. Call of the Death Dweller, sure. Ooh, that actually is action. Okay, let's play a second black source, because we're gonna, I guess second white source would have been fine as well. This is okay. I forgot that my third land was Agadeem's Awakening, but I don't think it's gonna matter. It's not like I have white cards in my hand. Sometimes you need to have a lot of white spells because you're attempting to play a bunch of Sentinel's Eyes in the same turn. But we're not going to have that problem here. Alright, Bone Crusher Giant this. They hit all of our stupid Call of the Death Dwellers, the Robber the Rich, which is kind of unfortunate for us. Full price Blood Chief's Thirst. Did they hit another one? No, they hit a land. Okay. And we hit a land. Well, we have 5 cards that do nothing. Oh, they're clearing lands out for us at least. So they can bring back... Oh no, it's a Rankle. Okay. It could have been worse. So we want to make a big creature with lifelink. But we want to do it... We play All That Glitters, it becomes a 3/3. We can't play Eyes plus Cetessan Training. I think All That Glitters is probably the best thing to do then. Not that I think here's a 3/3 beat this is very impressive, but... What can you do? Liliana. I'm assuming they have 3 creatures in their graveyard. They do. And we're dead. I guess we're still a point up from dead. I mean, what are we gonna... How are we gonna get out of this? And nothing really looks good here. And we could play like Extinction Event, anticipating them having some recursive threats like Croxa, Skycleave Shade, Phoenix of Ash, etc. Maybe Apparition's just better against that kind of stuff. Probably safe to shave like Call and Escape Velocity or something. Alright, can't go worse than the last game. Why did I say that? Oh, the sand is okay. I have things to do at least. So next turn we'll play both of our 1-drops. and hope to find an enchantment to put on one of them, because that would be quite strong. Hey, there you go. So then the next thing that should happen is that they'll kill these both off, and then we'll just bring them right back. So they could have a Blood Chief's Thirst. They don't appear to, though. I mean, if they do, they're not... I guess they could have a Spike Field Hazard still. So to avoid that, I'm going to put the Demonic Embrace on the Hateful Eidolon, so that I can't get blown out by a 1 damage spell. We're out of Bone Crusher Giant range as well. Yeah, so the Giant has to go there, which kind of is what it is. I'm going to play Champion, because I think they have to deal with the Hateful Eidolon, or they're in a lot of trouble. And now, if they do deal with it, then that has to kill that. Okay, so they still haven't. I like it. I like that the Hateful Eidolon is still in play. So we have some options. We can call back the Cetessan Champion. We could just play the Training and hit for 5. I think I like call back the Champion and force them to answer it again. And then they can have their choice of cards in hand to remove with the Duress effect. Either way, I'm going to have an enchantment next turn, because the Call of the Death Dweller represents an Ailsid. Okay. And now this would make killing the Hateful Eidolon worse, because it turns the Call of the Death Dweller into a draw 2. The Cetessan Champion also has Menace. That could become relevant in this game. Like if they just try to play a blocker, that's not going to end well for them. Alright, they got my last card in hand, so be it. Agadeem's Awakening. I like that. So if I just cast this, X is 1. I can get my Ailsid back before my graveyard is exiled. And they scooped, though they weren't actually dead. But, I mean, they were pretty dead. Alright, let's see if we can do that again. After I submitted, I thought briefly about whether I might want Hushbringer in this matchup, because having just another body that can wear enchantments is quite good. But on the other hand, they just showed us Kroxa, and I don't think you're supposed to have Hushbringer against that. Okay, so our mana is incredibly awkward. We have 2 ways to make white. One way will cut us off from black, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to lead on the Verge pathway and play Ailsid. Then the Bright Climb pathway is going to have to come into play on the backside to let us play like TCD and Call of the Death Dweller. Oh, that helps a lot. But then that means that this needs to come into play as green to play the Cetessan Champion. So it's like, this is a bit of a maze to try to figure out what we're supposed to do. Let's play the black source now so I don't screw up later. And then I'm going to play this as green and play probably Temur Calls the Dead. I want to give myself one more turn to find something like Sentinel's Eyes, or just naturally draw an enchantment that I can put on the Cetessan Champion. Because if I just run it out there we go. Oh, that's an embarrassment of riches. If I just run this Cetessan Champion out there, I could be running it into something like Elspeth's Nightmare. And if I can play it plus Sentinel's Eyes, we'll get out of the range of that. Well, they've got us beat on zombies so far, exiling Elspeth's Nightmare and Temur Calls the Dead. Not even a creature. I'll wade into the zombie wars over here with my opponent. The scry at the end is not particularly important. They have hit a Kroxa. It's kind of bad for us given that we have basically no way to interact. Shock and Kroxa. Yeah, we'll discard the card that still works from our graveyard. And draw a Mire Triton, okay. You can't say we haven't drawn Sentinel's Eyes. I guess you can say we haven't drawn them, but we've certainly managed to find them. I'll say that. So we'll go ahead and Eyes here. And we'll exile Agadeem's Awakening for sure. And I don't think Sentinel's Eyes number 3 is strictly necessary. I like the Demonic Embrace. And I want to keep a creature around while I have Call of the Death Dweller in my hand. So they gain 2 Scry 2, as Mire Triton is a zombie. Both to the bottom. They must have enough to bring back Kroxa plenty. I wonder if our plan is to flat out race. Like if they bring back Kroxa next turn, do I just like Demonic Embrace plus Sentinel's Eyes again? Make a giant vigilant monster. It presumably won't end well for me, but we might have to try it. I'm going to discard the Mire Triton. Land number 5 looks like it might be important later. They don't attack. Let's leave Apparition on top for sure. So we don't have double black for the Demonic Embrace until I do this, and now we do. I could just bin the Storm Herald. Like it might be, it'll probably be just as good in my graveyard as it is in my hand. So what if I do that and then add the next Sentinel's Eyes? We'll draw the Skyclave Apparition. Now we'll draw the next card. So I'll exile Mire Triton, Temur Calls the Dead. And right now the Storm Herald in our graveyard looks kind of sad, but I'm not expecting my Setessan Champion to live for that much longer. If it does, we might just win on the spot if we untap with it. That All That Glitters is worth a lot. But we will also have the ability to Storm Herald back all of these things. So it's possible that we'll get there that way anyway. What do I feel like discarding here? I think we should angle towards the combo turn. Like, do I just discard Temur Calls the Dead? I'm assuming this thing is going to die. Let's try that. Let's try that. And if things go, like, unexpectedly sideways, I can take 6, can't I? If things go, like, unexpectedly sideways, then we might be able to just play the Apparition. So I didn't block with the Setessan Champion there because I was afraid of, what's it called? Shatter Skull Smashing. That would have been a way to do the final 3 points of damage. Alright, All That Glitters lands. This is now a 14-14. So, let's see what they've got. The answer is nothing. Hey, how about that? Sorry, Storm Herald, you didn't get a chance. We are 2-3. Let's go to our final match. Here we go, match number 6 on the play, with a hand that can at least play Temur Calls the Dead on turn 3. I guess that's fine. I like that we have all 4 colors of mana. I like that our opponent has mulliganed. I don't like that we don't have a creature besides this TCD, but what can you do? I better remember to play this pathway as a red source when it comes to it. Interesting. That is a Ketria Triumph. And you cannot say that we are not going to be calling the dead, because I think we're going to call the dead a lot. I hope they pick up. I do not think this is going to be as exciting as those games where you go History of Benalia into History of Benalia into History of Benalia, and you just run your opponent over. But it is going to have the same kind of arc to the game. Well, I definitely don't want to get rid of the All That Glitters. That'll be good later. And the Sentinel's Eyes actually has some value. So I guess it's the Setessan training, but that is kind of annoying. Fire Prophecy to kill this card. I am very okay with that. That was kind of half of this, I guess. So my opponent is probably playing some kind of Temur ramp deck. We hit a Demonic Embrace. I'm just going to eat the eyes, which feels kind of bad, but I think we'll find more eyes as we go along. How could I have seen that coming? They're going to need a lot of Fire Prophecies to clean this up. A land. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I did them backwards. No. I guess it's okay because I actually have the third Temur Calls the Dead. This is fine. So then we'll play White Source. I kind of want to make my opponent interact. Like, I could play Hateful Eidolon and then play a bunch of Sentinel's Eyes and kind of try to put a little bit of pressure on my opponent. I could also just play TCD number 3. I guess with TCD number 2 in play, that can't be that bad. Alright, let's do that. And I'm probably going to play Eyes instead of Hateful Eidolon here, because I don't care if the Eyes gets blown out. I also don't care if it stays in play, like whatever. If it goes away, I'm going to play it again. Let's try to stack the triggers better next time. We get like Brazen Borrowed. Shark Typhoon. Okay. We do have made tokens as well. They add a Jawari Disruption to the battlefield tapped, and Fertile Footsteps again. Interesting. Alright, let's do 3 before 2 this time. Temur Calls the Dead, number 4. Yeah, I'm okay milling both of these. Maybe I put the Elcid on the bottom. That might have been correct. Because I knew I was just going to eat one of the Temur Calls the Deads. So I might as well see a fresh card. Alright, let's play Hateful Eidolon first. And that should draw their fire, and then if nothing happens, we'll get cards like All That Glitters out of our hand. So I think we're just going to diversify horizontally. Like this. And I'll eat 2 lands. 2, 4, 6, 7. I think we're probably just going to get Ugin, huh? Another Shark Typhoon to make a 1/1 and block our 7/7. Yep. Obviously the issue with Ugin for us is that it will presumably -2, but maybe they'll just -1. That would be convenient. Oh, it's a Genesis Ultimatum. Alright, can we dodge? We dodged. I mean, presumably they drew like multiple Genesis Ultimatums, but I don't see anything on the battlefield over here. That might be a problem for them. They appear to have, what, 3, 4 mana left over? Let's leave Call of the Death Dweller where we can reach it and try to combo them. So I can play Setess in training. Do I have anything else in my graveyard? I have an All That Glitters, a Demonic Embrace, and an All That Glitters. So the short answer was yes. I do have other stuff in my graveyard. Oh, that was very bad. I mean, they could just Bone Crusher this or something. Though, I guess if they do, they probably just die miserably to a Demonic Embrace. Okay, Fire Prophecy. So now I'm assuming they can't interact, and I'm showing 3, 6, and 5 is 11. So if I just add this Demonic Embrace out of my hand, I think we attack for lethal. Yeah. I wish I had something like if a Planeswalker would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. I mean, I can kind of see playing Hushbringer. I'm assuming my opponent's playing Terror of the Peaks, and Hushbringer is a way to mitigate that. All right, I think it's finally time for you. And probably I can go a little lighter on, like, I mean, I guess it's Escape Velocity is usually one of the first ones to go for me. It's like a 5th copy of Sentinel's Eyes. Maybe I'll cut Call and Herald as well. I mean, I could see cutting Champion. Champion at least triggers on some of these other, like, enchantment creatures. Ooh, that was wrong. Hushbringer stops triggers from creatures entering the battlefield. So Setessan Champion would trigger on Sentinel's Eyes, but it would not trigger on Hateful Eidolon. Let's get the rules right. Obviously, Storm Herald is the biggest nombo with Hushbringer, but usually the arc of these games is that you play Hushbringer, you put a bunch of enchantments on it, they have to answer that, and then you kind of go from there. Easiest mulligan yet. Second easiest mulligan yet. This doesn't look good. I guess this hand technically is playable. I don't have a green source. That makes me not want to keep a green card. Right off the top. Alright, so I'll play this as my white source, and I'll probably use the Bright Climb pathway to make a black, and then we'll have to figure out which color to play after that. Should we do the Bone Crusher Giant check? I feel like we should. What else does our hand do? We've mulled to 5. Can they just cycle? Oh, wow, into the Royal. Well, that card was going to be good 5 turns from now. It was obviously good now as well. Yeesh. Hateful. Okay, so let's go Hateful and put eyes on it. So we're not out of Fire Prophecy range, unfortunately. I have to pick a color. But we're away from Bone Crusher Giant. Attacking could be bringing Shark Typhoon into play, but not anymore. Mire Triton. So let's play Ailsid to try to have a modicum of protection. Though, having said that, I probably should just play Mire Triton. Like, if they kill my Hateful Eidolon and let me draw a card, I'm not going to say no to that. Ouch. The Force Spike. And we load up here since the Ailsid can jump in the way. I didn't want to just let them make a big shark and block the Ailsid, which is why I only attacked with the Hateful Eidolon. Cultivate, but not Genesis Ultimatum or Ugin yet? Not complaining, but I can't have any way to, like, actually make any progress in this game, can I? Alright, I stopped respecting your Shark Typhoon. I don't see what playing the Triumph accomplishes, so I'm just going to pass and cycle it. It wasn't even a Savai Triumph. My opponent appears to have nothing. Demonic Embrace. That one's a castable. okay. I'm going to put it here to diversify, I guess. I don't know what's right. The way we paused there makes me think that they have a spell. Could have been a Jawari Disruption, but now we're paused here, so I guess not. They do have a Shark Typhoon. So I wonder where they want to put it. Putting it on the Hateful Eidolon and giving me 2 cards. So I could keep the Hateful Eidolon alive by popping my Ailsid. I would draw a card for that. I wouldn't hit them for 4, which I think is a negative. So I'm going to just let this happen and take my 2 cards. The fact that my 1-drops had lifelink does give me a bit of a cushion here, right? I have 33 life. To the extent that I don't think that my opponent can attack. Temur calls the dead. I would love to call the dead. Hushbringer, Hushbringer. Alright, we might as well just eat one of these then. And I did not have a red source until right now. Wait. I want to put this on my zombie token. No need to have that many eggs in one basket. And they're going to Bone Crush there. So that was going to happen one way or the other. But this way we didn't get the Sentinel's Eyes blown out. Another giant Shark Typhoon? That's not good. Where are we on the Storm Herald front? I have an All That Glitters, a Sentinel's Eyes, and a Demonic Embrace. That's not nothing, but I'm going to need Trample. Demonic Embrace is not going to be enough evasion. Unless we catch them off guard. Like maybe they don't expect that I'm going to be able to produce a giant flyer. They seem to be expecting it. Ooh. 3. So we'll eat the Mire Triton. So how big can I make this thing? If I play All That Glitters, that's worth +3, +4, +4. So I think I'm one short of doing what I actually want to do. Let's count it up again. This is a 3/3. If I play All That Glitters, it will see itself, Sentinel's Eyes, and Temur Calls the Dead for 3/3. So this will become a 6/6. I play Demonic Embrace. That makes it 7/7, and then this will make it a 10/8, which is not large enough to attack past their 8/8. However, it is large enough to stop them from attacking with a 7/7. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty all in at in any case this game. So let's just do this. I'm not going to take this trade since I have Sentinel's Eyes and Demonic Embrace in my graveyard that I can potentially leverage. And if they have something like Into the Royal to knock all of my enchantments off, I don't think I'm dead. I'm pretty dead to that. Will they just 0 and keep all my enchantments around? If that is their plan, they'll lose their sharks, which necessitates this block. So actually I should think about this. Do I actually block the 8/8 to save all my enchantments? That's probably the right play, right? I mean, Ugin threatens to clear all these things anyway, so let's just make sure that we have a graveyard so that if we draw Storm Herald, we can potentially get out of this. And it's going to have to be exactly Storm Herald. It can't be called the Death Dweller or anything. I think we are doomed. But just out of curiosity, Ailsid. So I play a blocker, they Ugin the blocker, and they attack me for infinity. Alright, let's go to game 3. Right, and Skyclave Apparition doesn't take tokens. So I don't really have any way to deal with Shark Typhoon. Now we're just going to have the deck come through for us. Here we go, last game. On the play with an unkeepable hand. This one's not much better, but I think I should probably keep it. Definitely not giving up a red source. We'll put one of these back. I guess I should diversify my triomes. So now these can both just be white sources. It doesn't matter. Am I about to get Jawari disruptioned, and should I try to play around that? I guess it can't really hurt to play around it, given that, like, what's going to happen next turn? I have nothing to do. I'll just plan to cycle this Triumph. They just cycle for no value. Ooh, wow, did they just miss a land drop? Despite the cycling? Now I'm extra happy that I didn't just run Temur Calls the Dead into a Jawari disruption, because I have nothing going on either, but this way they didn't get value out of one of their cards. And for that reason, I'm not even... They can't have a Jawari disruption. They would have played it, right? This would be the most galaxy brain decision ever if they just discarded the hand size to keep an Ugin in hand, and like when they could have played a land. So never mind, they're off Jawari. They can't possibly have it. They did have a Bone Crusher but refused to stomp my face, which I find interesting. Let's eat the Citizen Champion. And I do have double black, so maybe we just play Hushbringer and test to see if they have another Bone Crusher Giant. I guess the advantage to doing this is that if we discover that they do have the Bone Crusher Giant, we can play the Sentinel Size again. It's not like I can attack with this Demonic Embrace this turn. Scorching Dragonfire. Okay. So hopefully that means that we'll keep our zombie to at least get a little bit of value off of the Temur Calls the Dead. We definitely don't have enough black to play both Demonic Embraces next turn. All that glitters on top? Yes, please. Okay, so now we can play Aelcid. And the Aelcid can kind of protect our investment here. The card that they could have is Into the Royal. When they, in fact, have it. Okay. Well, now I kind of want to be mana efficient. And I do not want to play... Let's pass. I do not want to play the land because I'm going to need it to discard to play the Demonic Embrace. The sequencing that I want to take here is Demonic Embrace, discard land. I mean, if they have... Ooh, I like that this is just happening. Or is it just happening? Never mind. I misunderstood what a cost was. Then I do this, and we just hope that we don't get Into the Royal again. Fire Prophecy. Okay. Doing it in that order meant that I would have cards left over to escape the Sentinel Size. And we try to build up again. Land, land. I mean, I'm not surprised that my opponent has removal, given that they are not hitting land drops. I am surprised that they appear not to be stuck with a handful of Cultivates and Beanstalk Giants, because they haven't played a green source. So at this point, how much is our graveyard worth? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11? Something like 11? There's a Storm Herald. We'll exile land and Ailsid, I guess. I mean, I guess Temur Calls the Dead is just like Ailsid, but can't be brought back with Call of the Death Dweller. Triumph. I could just use it as a Demonic Embrace, but I don't think that this Mire Triton is going to get there. Especially since my opponent declined to just cast a Bone Crusher Giant over this past couple of turns, so I'm not surprised to see that they're playing a Shark Typhoon. So I think we just go ahead and cycle and try to find something else to do. Another Sentinel's Eyes. So that makes my graveyard worth 13. Plus the 3 base power of the Storm Herald. So we're not quite there yet. We're getting close though. And this time there's no consideration to doing anything else since we don't have anything to play. I could almost see like Satyr's Cunning in this deck. Like, I just need some way to put a body on the battlefield out of my graveyard. It's a test and training and another TCD. Alright, so now we're at the point where I really don't want to pay 3 life for these Demonic Embraces. Like, they're already representing 13. So they can Ugin down my creature, but that doesn't kill me. We are going to have to draw a Storm Herald or a way to create a Storm Herald right now. I believe that we are dead. Right, like, I can't even beat 2 blockers. Alright, GG's. I will take a 2 and 4 with this deck. The way that last game played out was pretty representative, wasn't it? We had combo potential, but we could just never combo. I think a lot of things would have to be different, both about the metagame and about the exact construction of this deck before it became something that you should ever try to play. We could say that science here has been done, I think. Yikes.